I want to make a new video going about Rarity, why I don't use Computer Jewel, and I also get a question a lot like, is Rarity or Quant better, right? So it's going to be my thoughts about Rarity, and for my testing of now like 6,000 Crimson Temples this league with different Rarity values, anywhere from about 30% Rarity all the way up to 5% Rarity is where I've played at this league. Now there's no like exact data on this because it's almost impossible to actually have like real data on Rarity. The reason for this is that conversion loot rate does take some of your rarity and quant into effect, but it mostly takes the map and monster quant for the conversion. So if you do a 100 map test with 3% rarity and 500% rarity, you're gonna get no clue, no real conclusion on if the rarity actually made a difference for stuff like conversion loot, stuff like scarabs, for example. Like as far as I know, I checked this on the wiki and like discords, still takes effect from your rarity for the conversion. So yeah, so what else does rarity affect? Rarity only ever affects unique items. So tier 1s and tier 0s are pretty much the only important ones of this late into the league, right? And pretty much only tier 0s. The only tier 1s that are worth money still, it's also Unnatural Instinct and Delilah's, right? Delilah's is like 5 divines, Unnatural's like 3 to 4 divines, right? Everything else is pretty much like useless. It does like some 1 divine jewels. I don't know if I have any here. Probably not. There's like some 1 divine jewels you can get, but yeah, that's it. So pretty much how I see Rarity and why I think it's actually pretty bad is linked to the league. Because unless you drop, let's say like a Mage Blood, um, you get absolutely like close to no value out of Rarity. Like I said, I've done 30% Rarity to 5% Rarity this league, and I can't even see a difference between conversion drops. More so specifically, I've done like 2,000 maps at like 490 to 5% rarity, and 2,000 maps at least at 390% rarity, and like another 1,000 maps at like 330% rarity. And I could never tell the difference between any of the conversion loot with rarity. Now for unique items, there certainly will be a difference, but it's so small since rarity does have harsh diminishing returns, as far as I'm aware, after like 300%. But I don't know really how much it matters for like tier zeros and stuff. I guess to give some examples of my own, I've got 3 tier zeros in one day. That was with 330% rarity. My biggest loot conversion for Scarabs and Divine Wars is when I had 330 to 360% rarity. Um, if 5% rarity really made a big difference, then I would notice that difference in my gameplay, right? But it's probably so substantially small that it's just not worth going for unless you're getting up absolutely no player power for it. So yeah, on this character specifically, for example, with my flask up, of course, I am 333% rarity plus 60% from my helmet, so I'm 393% rarity. And while I could get more, of course, like stuff like rarity gem, it just sacrifices player power, and I just don't think it's worth it. I could also use Conspiro Jewel here, come way squishier, but once again, I just don't think it's worth it. This Lethal Pride here is absolutely insane value, and this is something I should have used way earlier. It was something other people use, but I thought like other people, oh yeah, just use Conspiro, you get to use all tattoos, you get so much more rarity, but no, this Lethal Pride is just way better. Getting this much stats, keeping your strength, which is actually important for life. Like this jewel right here gives me about like over 100 life, 4 double damage mods, intimidate, right, and fixes my strength despite not being Conspiro. So yeah, the only downside of not using Spiritual essentially is not the rarity, it's just not be able to tattoo every single dex node, which it does suck a little bit. You lose some move speed here. You probably lose about 20% move speed or projectile speed if you're using that. But yeah, outside of that, for a Matterfine build, it's completely fine. Yeah, the rarity matters just like, as far as I'm aware, there's so little, and even if there is like a good difference, let's say at 4% rarity and between 5% rarity, you get like 10% more tier zeros. Thing is, majority of tier zeros are absolute trash. Like you have stuff like Bloodseeker, this is a tier 0. You have Divinaris, tier 0. Beano's Kitchen Knife, tier 0, right? Reefbane, tier 0. These are worthless. Absolutely worthless uniques. There's only essentially 3 tier 0s that are worth money. That being Headhunter, Mage Blood, and Calandros. So it's like I think 13 tier 0s, I believe, 13 or 14. So even if it does increase tier 0s by like 10 to 20% drop rate, Thing is, like 66% of the time or so, your tier zeros are absolutely worthless anyway. So rarity is pretty much doesn't even matter unless you get lucky. Like long term, right? Keep in mind, I've done 6,000 crimsons. I've only seen 2 mage bloods. Even if I got like 10% more tier zeros with like 100% more rarity, probably wouldn't have been a third mage blood. It probably would have just been like another Benos. Yeah, there's. I just don't think rarity is that good this late into the league. I think week 1, week 2 is absolutely amazing. There's a ton of uniques that are worth a ton of money, right? You will get value out of rarity, but this late, I'm pretty convinced that rarity is pretty bad. You shouldn't sacrifice player power for it. Like I said, if you can get it for free, like this helm, it's pretty free. Ventures, pretty free. Stuff like that, right? 100% go for it. But if you're sacrificing player power, like the spiritual and stuff, Rarity Gem, for example, I just don't think it's worth it. Now, with that said, I don't think spiritual is bad. You could definitely make it work in some builds and give you a lot more player power, but it does make you squishier, right? Any build that uses spiritual is going to be more squishy than let's say a Boba uses Lethal Pride. I am substantially tankier than like any Caspiro Jewel Magic Find build, I would say. My character is Cat Spell Suppress, I use Grace, I have Progenesis, 4k life before Petrified Blood, right? I think we get last night, I did about like 2 hours of mapping, 2 to 3 hours without like dying once. That's not to say I never die. I obviously do die. Definitely have maps where I die 2 or 3 times in like one map just because the maps are really, really hard. But yeah, going Lethal Pride allows you to build your character a lot stronger, especially this league because of stuff like Warriors. This Warriors Tail spot's also absolutely insane, getting 4+ projectiles. So yeah, I think there's just massive downsides to playing Spiritual. It's not that free this league, and mostly because I just don't think Rarity is that good this late into the league. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Why I don't use Spiritual, my thoughts on Rarity, and why I don't think it's that good. Like I said, if someone comes out with real data, and on real data I mean like 1,000 maps with 400% rarity, 1,000 maps with 5% rarity, and they track all their conversion loot, and they track all their tier 1 uniques, then maybe we can have some real data on rarity. But like stuff like 100 map tests or 200 map tests is honestly just not enough to have a real data on rarity because there's so much RNG to it, right? The low drop rates of tier 1s and tier 0s. So yeah, that's about the whole video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Also see you on Twitch daily. Yeah, that's it.